The brain. The brain is an amazing, vital part of us that helps with both simple and complex tasks of our daily lives. But how does it work? Sometimes it's hard to understand, and there's different functions and different parts of the brain that do different things. As far as the lobes of the brain, each lobe has a different function. There are 4 lobes. There's the frontal lobe, which is at the front, obviously near your forehead, the parietal lobe, which is behind the frontal lobe, the occipital lobe, which is in the back, kind of behind the eyes, and then the temporal lobe, which is above the ears. And the positions of the lobes have a relation to the function of the lobe as well, which we'll go into after. As far as the frontal lobe, its function is for cognitive function and for controlling voluntary movement and activity. So cognitive functions, examples of those would be reasoning, memory, attention, language. They're activities that lead us to knowledge, to gain knowledge. And different voluntary movements would be ones that we have conscious control of, and some need less thought than others, like walking, but we still need to think about them. It's not like breathing. For the parietal lobe, its function is to process information about temperature, taste, touch, and movement. So this is what tells you whether or not a pan is hot. And it's really important in language processing and having you understand different languages. If we didn't have this lobe, or if this lobe was damaged, we wouldn't know what touch was. We wouldn't have that sensation. So that's where the parietal lobe comes into play. The occipital lobe is just, its key function is vision. It makes sense because it's kind of behind the eyes, as we saw in the back of the head. If it's damaged, you'll have a lot of visual confusion. Basically, it processes the images that our eyes send very quickly, and it makes sense of the visual info that we receive, so we're able to just understand what we're seeing. The temporal lobe, its function is to process auditory information, which makes sense because, again, it's above the ear, and so the position there is vital to its function. It also integrates memories we have with sensations of taste, sound, sight, and touch. Mostly its function is for auditory information, so it's also key to being able to understand speech. So it's the reason we understand why, like, when people are talking to us, and so we're able to make sense of the different pitches, and then we're able to make sense of conversation. Generally, the brain, it's very complex, but it's really worth knowing about and understanding, and it's cool then to think about when you're smelling, or when you're touching something, or when you're seeing something, what part of your brain is working and how it all works together to create how we think and how we live.